Welcome back. Today, I'm with my co-host, Donkey Kong, and he is very excited because we just watched the FNAF movie, and we're living in a timeline where a FNAF movie has been theatrically released. Just let that sink in for a minute. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I never thought we'd ever get a FNAF movie, especially with like the launch of that Nicolas Cage movie. What was it? Willy's Wonderland, I think it was called. Yeah. So this movie went through a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure it started back in like what 2017. They were like discussing maybe doing a movie for FNAF, and now we finally have it. So here we are. So I just got back from seeing it actually like about an hour ago. Went to go see it with a few of my friends, and it was a good time. It was a good movie. I'm gonna kind of talk about my pros and my cons with the film, but for the most part, I think that we enjoyed it. So, firstly, before we jump into the movie itself, I think I want to talk a little bit about my movie-going experience. So, there's been this sudden phenomenon with movies ever since Marvel started picking up films a little bit, where people feel the need to clap and cheer and get excited. Now, I understand it to an extent because people are excited to see a new movie that they were waiting for, and that's great, that's awesome. I'm happy for those people. Shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. It drives me insane that, number one, theaters are not, like, cheap. You know, I'm spending, like, $17 to go see a movie that I would rather just sit on my couch and watch with my friends, to be honest. Just invite a few friends over, be able to cook whatever I want, have a few snacks. I don't even want to go to the movie. But when you are making me go to the movie, now I know this was released on Peacock. I'm not getting a Peacock subscription to watch the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I'm sorry. I can't do it, man. It drives me nuts.
I think you're nuts.
The fact that this movie was not rated R means that you had to deal with 13-year-olds. You had to deal with all those little kids. I hated it. I hated the experience more than anything. It was awful. So yeah, I mean, the movie theater experience was abysmal. And this kind of happened a lot with the Mario movie.
Mushrooms.
And with the Sonic movies. And all the Marvel movies, like I said. I don't really go to the movies that often. I've seen a few movies in the past few years, but ever since COVID hit, I just kind of stopped going. I don't know. It's just not a lot of motivation, and it's expensive. So, you know, and this isn't helping at all. And they're lucky that they were releasing exciting movies like this for me, you know, and the Sonic movies and the Mario movie. I don't even go to see Marvel stuff anymore. I just don't care, you know. And they release that stuff on Disney Plus anyway, so I could go find it. I don't know. It's just not really something that I need to do anymore. I don't know. Just movie theaters just aren't really my thing. But it's fun to get some friends together and go to the theater. It's a good time. But that's really the only positives I can give a movie theater is you get to meet all your friends. It's just a nice convenient spot. You get the big screen, the loudspeakers. It's lovely. Except when movies are really, really loud, which this movie was. Also, before I get too much further here, this is all unscripted. This is my first impressions. I don't know if I'm going to make a Paul perspective video in the future. I'd like to do a full analysis possibly. But as of right now, this is just my one-off impressions. I just saw the movie. I just want to let it out because I'm going to forget. So, yeah. And also another thing, I got a little bit of a sore throat, so if I'm a little quiet or if I sound a little raspy, I apologize. Not really much I can do other than take cough drops, so anyway. So I guess first, let's let's just talk about the movie, right? So firstly, the cons, or sorry, the pros. We'll go with the pros first. I really like the practical effects. I think they did a stupendous job with the practical effects. A lot of movies nowadays, now for you movie aficionados out there that study movies and film and all that stuff, understand that a lot of movies don't do practical effects anymore. It's all CGI because CGI is easier, it's cheaper, and yeah, and you get cheap products. I mean, there's a lot of movies like, I mean, the Alien franchise I know eventually degraded to CGI, and I will never watch those movies because of that, because practical effects will always rule, and this movie delivered on that. Now, the posters for the movie you can tell are CGI. I mean, it's pretty easy to tell. But the practical effects that were there in the film, spot on. And there were some deaths in this movie, and I was questioning, how is this PG-13? They really got close to that line there. But I really enjoyed those parts because it was gruesome and it was fun to watch. I'm not a masochist, I swear to God. But no, seriously, they were really good effects, and there were some really good scenes there, and I really appreciated the practical effects. I mean, they did a phenomenal job. Really knocked it out of the park with practical effects. It was so satisfying to watch so many scenes. And the animatronics look great. I mean, I don't know if I wanted them to be that faithful to the games. I mean, they were extremely faithful, and you know, I gotta give a lot of credit because a lot of movies stray away from that faithfulness. They were really faithful. They were really well done, and like I said, sometimes it looks a little uncanny, it looks a little weird, but I think that's also just due in part to the fact that we have a FNAF movie. It's still unreal to me. It's like, how are you watching that in the theater? I don't know. Sometimes it felt fan filmy, but that's just the nature of it. It's not their fault, you know. They're making a FNAF movie. You're gonna be stuck with that. There's a million FNAF fan films out there. So, next thing I want to talk about is the acting. I think the acting was pretty good. There's some lines that had poor delivery and it wasn't the best, but I think for what they were working with, I think they did a pretty good job here. It wasn't terrible, wasn't like amazing. I don't think it was like, you know, Academy Award winning or Oscar worthy or anything. It was good. It was good acting. I just wanted to point that out because a lot of these video game live action movies tend to have pretty shitty acting. So it was nice. It was nice to get some good acting. Now this might be a little bit of a what's a positive nitpick? I don't know what I would call that. I'm just like jacking off the movie right now. I don't know. But the lighting. I really like the lighting in this film. It's got a creepy atmosphere, and there's a lot of like flashing, you know, the electricity and stuff in the film. It looks really good. It's great. It looks really good. I think the film is going to hold up for quite a while. I felt the characters were very well developed. They kept you in the dark for a little bit on a lot of the characters, and they eventually kind of got more in depth with the characters. And I appreciated that they kind of made it a mystery at first. Like, who are these people? Now, of course, for people that watch like theories and all that stuff, they took a lot of liberties from the theories. You know, they took a lot of theories and they did a lot with that to build this movie. And I think for the most part, they did a fantastic job. But there's obviously some things that people already knew about the film. There's things that people already know. What's going to happen? You already know what's going to happen for the most part, right? I mean, if you like FNAF, you probably already know. But I think the characters were well done. I think they were well done. And yeah, they included a lot of the lore. You know, it wasn't bad. It was good. It was pretty good. I think they could have done a little better with the lore, but yeah, they took some liberties. But I'm not gonna get upset at that. You're gonna take liberties. There's no Tom and fucking Sonic the Hedgehog. No. No, you never see Spike and Mario anymore, do you? No, you see him in one game that's not even necessarily a Mario game. So you know what? They're gonna take liberties, and I'm fine with that. That's okay. They can take liberties. All right? Even if it's like minor ones or big one, even big ones. Fine, take a few liberties here and there. I don't really care. I think a lot of the lore was well done. But I do have a few cons here and there. The pacing. The pacing was slow. I'd say the first half of the film, if I'm rewatching this film, I might have to skip a lot of the beginning stuff. There's a lot of setup, there's a lot of world building, and that's great, but man, does it really hold down the film? I don't know. I think there's a lot of pacing issues, and it's good. It's a good film, but its pacing issues are kind of noticeable, and I think on rewatch it's gonna kill me because this is a 2-hour film. So with pacing, that's not great. It's not gonna hold up as well, in my opinion. Then I feel like the characters' motives, some of them, were very stupid. And it was almost like cartoon, like mustache twirler type, like villainy there was with some of these characters. I don't know. That stuff was kind of like, okay. You know, it felt kind of cartoonish. It felt kind of silly. But I'm mostly okay with that because this is still a PG-13 kids film for the most part. Once again, some of those like kills and some of that's like practical effects stuff, I'm like, is it PG-13? Like, I don't know. That was a little weird to me, but okay. I guess kids see worse stuff nowadays. I don't know. I'm not okay anymore. But yeah, I don't know. It's fine. It's okay. You know, the motives were a little weird. For a lot of the characters. There's this one character in particular that's just kind of there, and then she's supposed to be kind of like the dangling part of the film, like but they don't really do anything, and that's my problem. It's like it does affect the plot a little bit, but it's never like that much of an issue. The world building, I think, could have used a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff that was not covered super well here. I feel like a lot of stuff was skimmed. I feel like a lot of stuff was not talked about super well. And I think that the world building could have used a lot of work. There's two, 3 locations in the film. And yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's okay. We don't really know about certain characters, certain things, but I don't know. I don't really have like much to say on the negatives because I just really enjoyed this film. I did. I thought it was good. I think for what it was, it did what it was set out to do. Make a Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is under investigation because of some, complaints about missing children.
Now, the question is, are they going to make this a series? Are they going to make this a series of movies? Or is this only going to be one? This movie's going to do well, firstly. I just want to preface that. This movie is going to do super, super, super well. If this movie does not break over like 150 million in the first weekend, I'd be shocked. I don't know what the records are. I don't know what the numbers are. But it's going to do really, really well. They're going to greenlight a sequel, and if they don't, they'd be really dumb. The only thing that makes this movie like classified as horror, in my opinion, or horror, is those few gruesome scenes. But it's not scary. It's more of eerie. It's kind of creepy, you know? And if you really think about like what the movie is talking about and stuff, that shit is creepy, and I was thinking about that, I'm like, shit, this is kind of freaky. But the movie was also mainly jump scares, which I'm okay with. Why? Because Five Nights at Freddy's is a game about jump scares. And I think that that is genius that they were banking on a lot of jump scares. And it's fine, you know? It's okay. I'm fine with it. I liked them. I thought they were funny. I didn't necessarily think... I thought a couple of them were a little cheap. But that's Five Nights at Freddy's. It's all jump scares. So you know what? So be it. It wasn't scary. It wasn't. There were parts that were a little creepy. But I don't think it was a scary film. But once again, some of those gruesome practical effect scenes, I'm like, there's a PG-13 film? So I guess the real question here is, should you go see this film? Now, as somebody who grew up in Five Nights at Freddy's, like when Five Nights at Freddy's was occurring, I was pretty young still, you know, still a kid. And I really liked to, you know, watch Game Theory, of course. Every kid in 2016 freaking watched Game Theory. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I watched Game Theory. Everybody watched Game Theory. I watched Markiplier.
Was that the...
I watched all kinds of FNAF stuff, alright? I watched so many people play that game. I loved it. It was so much fun. Now, have I played the FNAF games? No. No, I have not. I played a little bit of the first game. And that's about it. Because I am a little bitch. I love the story. I love the lore. I love watching horror films. So why don't I like playing Five Nights at Freddy's? Because playing a horror game is way different than watching a horror movie. I hate to break it to you. I get jumpy. I get scared. I don't like that. I don't like that. Now, this has kind of motivated me to maybe play the games a little bit. But I think for the most part, I'm just going to stick to watching people play Five Nights at Freddy's and people talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. Because boy, oh boy, is it not for me. I'm a little bitch. I get scared by Resident Evil. That's how bad it is. So, I got scared by Metroid Prime when I first played that game, and I love that game. But man, oh man, when I first time playing it, and the frigate, oh my god, that was terrifying. I hated it. I put it down for 5 years, and I didn't touch it because I was like, this game's scary. I don't like scary games, so FNAF is definitely not for me to play. But I love watching people play it. Hell, and a little plug for myself, but I even built my own Five Nights at Freddy's clone of one of my friends. It was a lot of fun to make the game. It was really easy. It only took me maybe about a week. But when I finished it, man, oh man, it was so much fun. So much fun watching people play it. It was a good time. I kind of dropped off of FNAF at the point in which everybody was playing and talking about FNAF, because there got a point where everybody in the fandom started getting really cringe, just like with Undertale, just like with everything. It really sucks. I try not to follow fandoms because of that. It really disappoints me because I love some of these things, but they ruin them. They ruin them. It's a serious, like, downer, but, you know, FNAF used to be amazing, and it still holds a near and dear place in my heart because of how much I loved watching people play it. I still think all the memes and shit about it is funny.
William Afton.
Markiplier, you know, he's still the FNAF guy in my heart, so. But anyway, that's really all I have to say. So should you go see the FNAF movie? I'd say give it a watch. Watch it on a weekday, though. If you get easily annoyed by people talking in a movie theater or little kids screaming, watch it when they're in school, because you will hate it. I hated my experience so much. It was awful. And it's kind of deterred me from wanting to go back to the movies. Of course, I'll go back to see Sonic 3 when that eventually comes out. And, you know, if there's any, like, super exciting movies that I'm like, oh, I have to go see this. That's another thing I want to talk about real quick. There were a lot of ads for horror movies and action movies. I have no motivation to go see movies anymore. Because most movies are horror or action. Nothing is ever just a fun movie to watch anymore. Nothing's funny. Nothing's enjoyable. Well, let me give you an example. My Cousin Vinny. That's a hilarious movie. It's not meant to be like super like actiony and super like scary or anything. No. It's just a funny movie to watch. And it's a ridiculous plot. It's a silly plot. But man, oh man, could I go back to that movie any day? Because it's just fun. It's just funny. It's a good time. Bring back those kinds of movies, guys. I mean, the only movies I'm going to see nowadays are those big names. And I hate doing that because I want to give other creators a chance, but everybody's making the same shit. I mean, my God. My God. It's just like how every single freaking indie dev, calling myself out here, makes RPGs or fighting games or whatever. It's like, God, for the love of God, make something different, people. Ugh. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. So I hope everyone enjoys, and I hope if you go to see the FNAF movie, give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And I gotta tuck this guy to bed because he's tired after that long movie adventure, you know? So, with that, I'm gonna sign off. Once again, I'm just gonna finish by saying, I don't know if I'm gonna do a Paul perspective on this. I'm still working out the kinks in this channel, obviously, but if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. So, at least you guys have something, and it was kind of fun to be able to just kind of talk about a movie I just saw. I would like to go into spoilers, but it's a fairly new movie, so maybe I'll do a follow-up to this. Maybe I'll do the actual perspective video on it at that point. I don't know. Probably not, but who knows? Maybe I'll do a spoiler talk maybe a week from now or something. But I'm trying to keep it spoiler-free because I want people to actually be able to watch this, because I would feel really bad for spoiling certain things. So anyway, with that said, I hope everyone has a good night, and I'll see you guys eventually in my next video.